So you're ready to set up your website or blog, but you need somewhere to put it. And you've probably looked at some guides or articles on the web so far that tell you how to start your blog, and they all recommend a hosting company. Most likely, most of them are recommending Bluehost or some other very similar low-cost shared hosting plan. And today, I want to give you a different kind of recommendation, a recommendation for quality hosting that is able to handle much bigger sites so you can grow into it, but still is affordable even when you start. And the main benefit that you're going to get by using Cloudways is that they're not going to have any kind of weird gimmicks or annual commitments or any kind of weird stuff like that. All you have to do is pick what you need and pay for it monthly, and it starts around $10 per month. And that price level is probably enough for pretty much anyone starting out with a website or a blog. But at the same time, they have the options available if you need to scale up significantly. If you have a site that is getting tens of thousands of visitors a day and hundreds of checkouts at the same time, you can still scale up with a Cloudways account with the right kind of server that can handle all of that traffic. It's just a great setup. Now, there are a few drawbacks to Cloudways. It is a little bit more geared towards people who have some technical knowledge, but don't let that scare you. Okay, so if you heard that and you're like, oh, that's not me, I'm going to Bluehost, just hear me out. Okay, just watch me set it up this time, and let's see how it goes and what you think after that. You're not going to get cPanel if you're used to something with cPanel, which is pretty much antiquated at this point anyway. There are a few things that you're going to have to configure. So you will need to configure your SMTP server, and you might be like, okay, this is already over my head. I promise it's very easy, but you do need to do it if you want your website to be able to send admin or any kind of email from your site. So we'll talk about that. You also won't get email included with your hosting automatically with Cloudways, but again, it can be very easy. They do have the ability to add on email via Rackspace, and you can do that for $1 per email inbox per month. So there's some great options that make this pretty much equivalent to any other kind of hosting that you're probably used to, but it's going to be significantly faster, and you're not going to have to worry about all of those weird gimmicks, and the price is just, it's the right price. It's so simple and easy to understand once you get into it. But let's talk about that. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm actually going to sign up with a new account today. I have one for my other business, but today I want to set up a personal account here that I'm going to be using for my blogs and websites as I get them going on my passive income journey. So let's go ahead and set something up. So one thing that I don't love about the onboarding process is the only way you can get started here is to start a free trial. And their free trial is only 3 days, but it basically gives you a chance to try out their interface and see if you like it. We can go to pricing on this page, and it will give us kind of a chart of the options. Now, I'll break this down for you really quickly. Basically, Cloudways is sort of a shell. It's like a managed portion of these different hosting providers: DigitalOcean, Linode, Vultr, AWS, and Google Cloud. So all 5 of these are world-class hosting providers, the kinds of servers that the biggest websites in the world run on, especially like AWS. I mean, pretty much any big website or web app that you can think of is probably running on AWS or Google Cloud. A lot of businesses are using DigitalOcean, Linode, Vultr, and we're probably going to stick to one of these first 3. AWS and Google Cloud are going to be for more advanced users. They're going to be a little bit more expensive. They are more flexible or scalable to some extent if you need, like if you have really specific needs. But if you're just starting a website or a blog, pretty much ignore these 2, and you have these 3 to choose from. So we can look through them and kind of see the price and the feature difference. In the grand scheme of things, it really doesn't matter that much. You could just start with DigitalOcean, $10 a month, go. It's fine. I've used that and grown sites. It works great. It's fast. It's got plenty of storage space. So here are a few things. Like if you look here, you have 25 gigabytes of storage on this DigitalOcean, 25 on that one, 25 on this one. So now they're all equal. They used to be slightly different there. They're all 1 gigabyte of RAM. one core, one core, one core. All of these are the same, 1 terabyte of bandwidth. They're all basically the exact same plan at the lower level. If you want to do some research on DigitalOcean versus Linode versus Vultr, you can see some people have run benchmarks and speed tests. After reading a bunch of those different tests, I typically go with Vultr. It just seems to be consistently winning out on the tests. But again, DigitalOcean is just as good. Linode is just as good. If you want to pick one of those, it's basically just a different flavor of the same thing. But let's just say we're going to stick with Vultr. Now, there is one new thing that just happened. In fact, if you look at the top of the website as I'm recording this, you can see introducing the Vultr high-frequency servers. Now, as far as I really don't know everything about the high frequency servers. I read that article and they showed the benchmarks and the testing that they've done, and it was pretty consistently outperforming the standard. And if you look, the high frequency 1 gigabyte plan, you actually get a little bit more storage. You get another 7 gigabytes there, and everything else is the same, but you're getting this high frequency version for $2 more per month. I mean, if you're going to be doing anything, especially if you're going to be using like WooCommerce, or if you're going to be using any kind of advanced plugins or anything like that, it might just be worth going ahead and doing this from the beginning. I'm probably going to go ahead and pick this option because I don't mind the extra $2 per month in this case. If you're trying to save some money and the $3 per month is a big deal to you, go back to DigitalOcean and just pick this $10 plan. Okay. Trust me when I say it's not that big a deal. Even if you need to switch in the future, it's not completely straightforward. Like, you can't just go in there and say, oh, switch me to Vultr. You do have to set up a new server and then kind of transfer your app, but it's still not that difficult. You can make it happen if you ever want to switch. For now, I'm going to pick the Vultr high frequency $13 a month plan. Let's go with it. All right, so get started absolutely free. Let's see. I'm gonna fill out everything else first. Let's put I'm a blogger. My monthly hosting spend is $0 to $50. I'm not going to use a promo code right now. I'm going to agree to this. I'm going to drag this off the screen really quick and insert my information. Just putting in my email and desired password. Okay. And start. Just click to start free. Saying, please wait. Welcome to Cloudways. We're really excited to have you on board. Have a great day. Okay, so at this point, I need to verify my account. They're giving me a welcome message here. It's telling me all the stuff. Save time and money by offloading your server management. Install unlimited applications on one server. Pay only for resources you consume. Free SSL. Yep, all that's good. Thanks. And even though I had already chosen the Vultr and the high frequency, when I clicked start, apparently I have to choose it again here. So you see that I clicked back to Vultr, went to high frequency. I'm on the 1 gigabyte. Now here's something a lot of people ask me about. Do I need to pick a server location close to me? And the answer is it depends. It's not going to hurt anything to try to get one that is closer to you, especially if you have very local traffic. If you have local audience, if you're a small business that is serving only a specific area and you can find one of these server locations that's close to that area, that's probably a good idea to go ahead and choose it. The difference in picking something like Seattle versus Dallas versus Chicago, if you're in the United States, is negligible. It's going to be almost unnoticeable when you're talking about the speeds that these servers have. At least that's my experience. Some people might want to disagree with that, but I would say don't worry about this too much. Don't necessarily base your choices on which server to pick based on these server locations. However, that being said, if, for example, you are in Germany or London and you know that almost all of your traffic is going to be within that country and they only have server locations in the US, that might be a reason to switch to a server that does have, I mean, most of these, like look, we have Germany and London as options for the Vultr high frequency. Some of them don't have every location. They have a map if you need to look at it before you get started. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and pick Atlanta. That's close to me. It's fine. I'm going to have audience all over the world, but that will still serve it plenty fast all over the world. And if not, I can always use a CDN if needed later. Okay, Vultr, high frequency, 1 GB Atlanta. Now, you're gonna have to come up here and enter an application. So we need at least one application to get started. And basically, you can just leave this alone. So WordPress version 5.4.2, that's fine. We'll just go with that. If you're going to be using WooCommerce, I do recommend switching this to WordPress with WooCommerce. The reason for that is they will apply some optimizations that are specific to their hosting and the way that they do server-side caching. And if you don't set this up in the beginning and you add WooCommerce later, then you may have to do some of that configuration yourself. So if you know you're going to be using WooCommerce, or there's a good chance that you'll use WooCommerce in the future. By the way, WooCommerce is just a plugin that is very popular for WordPress for selling things through an online shop. So if you want to host your own store and sell items, either digital or physical items, through your website and not use a third-party service like Shopify, then you might want to use WooCommerce. And so if you're planning on doing that in the future, you can go ahead and choose this option. Even if you're like just maybe 30% sure you're going to be using WooCommerce, go ahead and do that option, because you can always disable WooCommerce within this setup and enable it later if you need it. And at least it will do those optimizations that it does when it sets it up. Anyway, okay, we're going to just choose a clean version here. I'm not going to ever be using WooCommerce on this particular site. Your application, this is just going to be the name of the actual WordPress setup. So in this case, I probably would use the name of the site that I'm going to be setting up here. Let me see, what am I going to be setting up on this server? I'm probably going to be doing one for, this is a kayaking site that I'm planning on starting, Yakkerman, and I'll just call it that for now. Whatever the name of your site is, put it there. Whatever the name you want to be for your server, this is like what we're setting up here, Vulture. Your server can hold multiple websites or multiple applications, and you can have multiple servers within your account if you ever need to differentiate which servers your sites are on. For this, I'm just going to call this like Corey's. Oh, can't have a server. Okay. Good enough. Select your project. We don't have any set up. You can set up projects and teams and everything up here. We don't need to do that right now. It's fine. Okay, so let's see. What do we have to do first? Oh, we need to verify my account first. Oh, it might make me fill all that out again. Anyway, okay, let me go to my other screen over here and see if I can verify. It's not in my inbox. Let me refresh. There it is. Activate your Cloudways account. Click activate account. It's just in it came right to my email, and I clicked activate account verification. Okay, so let me pull this over. Okay, so I'm going to enter my phone number here off the screen, and I'm going to have it send me a text message. Let's see what happens. I'm going to look here at my phone, see if I get that message. There it is. Okay, I'm going to put that number in and click verify. Just see if that worked. Boom, it worked. Okay, so I'm going to just hit refresh on this really quick. That was pretty easy. Verified my account with the email and phone number. Okay, so we're going to go back to this. High frequency, 1 GB. I picked Atlanta. Our application name and our server name. No project needed. And we can launch it. See, it's going to tell us down here, we're paying as we go. Will not be charged during the trial period, but we're basically paying $13 per month. Launch. Okay, it's adding that server, and this may take just a minute. Okay, now this is a little bit confusing when you see this. And by the way, they have a referral program. If you refer other people, you can get credits on your account. It's adding the server. It says it's going to take 13 minutes. This does say your trial will expire in 3 days and 0 hours. That is not 30 days. Okay, it's a 3-day trial. If you do not upgrade your account, if you do not add your payment information here, your site will go down if you've already set it up. So we need to make sure that we do that. If you want to play around with your server here just to see how it all works for a couple of days before you make a decision, that's fine. Just know that if you do not upgrade within 3 days, everything's going to go down. You're going to have to get in touch with support. They might be able to restore it for you. They have for me in the past, but it's just a pain in the butt. So what I would do is go ahead. Okay, blah, blah, blah. We don't need to look at that right now. Upgrade my account. And when you do that, it's just going to ask you to put in payment information. Okay, I'm not going to do this right now on the video, but it's pretty straightforward, right? Just put in your billing information, your credit card or debit card, and you'll be good to go. Okay, so I went ahead and verified or upgraded my account with my credit card information and waited for that application to finish installing. And I wanted to point out a few more things about Cloudways and how to get around when you first get started. So first of all, whenever you log in, you should see a list of your servers by default. You can switch that to a list of your applications. You can also switch that here in this main menu. But the server is going to show you the IP address, the location, the details of your server right here. And then you can click in to get to all of the settings for your server. Okay, so I guess I'm gonna have to blur some of this out so that people don't have access to my server. But anyway, the thing that I want to go ahead and do right now is right here, you'll see this little more options dots in this main menu. We're gonna go to add-ons. We're just gonna go ahead and get this one out of the way. We're gonna use Elastic Email. And we'll click on the little edit icon, or let's see. Yep, click on the edit icon. I'm just going to go ahead and pick the 1,000 emails. I'm probably not going to be sending more than that from my server. If you're running some sort of site that is, again, if you're using something like WooCommerce or something that sends emails from your site to users, if you have people who are going to be registering and you're going to have hundreds or thousands of people registering on your site, these emails are things like the password reset if a user forgets their password, or the WooCommerce emails that come after you purchase an item. All of those will depend on the server to send the mail, and this is basically the add-on that you need for that. Even the basic WordPress admin emails that would go to you at your email address will use this, so it's good just to go ahead and add it. It's 10 cents a month, so it's no big deal. Just go ahead and hit subscribe. It's adding Elastic Email, and there's one more step we're gonna have to do when that's finished. Okay, we'll go back to servers. And under SMTP down here at the bottom, we're going to select SMTP and click Elastic Email and enable. And now, as soon as that's finished, we'll have the SMTP service on the server, so it should be able to send emails. You can try sending a test email, and once you get in, you can use your WordPress to send an admin email. Just see if anything is not working. If it's not working, there are some steps you can take. I believe they have some tutorials on, there's other SMTP plugins you can use for WordPress. Don't get intimidated by this, because those steps that I just took should work for like 95% of people, and you won't need to do anything else. And if you do get stuck, their support will be able to get you through it if you have any issues. But I've never seen any issues as long as you do these couple of steps. As far as the add-ons go, again, if you want to use email through your domain and you're not going to use a service like G Suite and you want to add it on for a really good price, you could use Rackspace. And Rackspace would be, you would just tell it what email address you want to use at your domain. Now, you're going to need your domain pointing to your account first. And there's, again, more help articles and stuff on how to do all of this if you need them. But this would be a way that you could set up an email address and have it at your domain for $1 per month. So total, we would be up to $14.10 per month. At one point there was an extra fee for backups. I'm not seeing it right now, but know that by default they are going to run the backups. If there's an extra charge, I'd have to look into it, but it's very, very small. It was like 50 cents a month or something like that. So total, we're definitely under $15 even with the add-ons if we need them. And if you think about it, something like a Bluehost is going to be, usually they're going to start at like $2.99 a month or $3.99 a month or something like that. You're going to have to pay for a year at least, maybe 2 years up front to get that price. And once that time passes, they're always, I think the minimum it bumps up to is $9.99. And then it might even go as high as $15 for, kind of those low tier plans whenever they go up after that trial period. Same thing with SiteGround, same thing with, I think HostGator is probably the same way. They're pretty much all like that. They're going to bump it up to that kind of $10 to $15 range. And we're already here. Sure, we're not getting that promotion for the first year, but also we don't have to pay up front. I haven't even been charged yet for the first 3 days, but then I'll be charged $13.10 or something like that. So if you're just getting started and you actually are on a budget, this might even be a better option because it'll give you some time to start earning some income to pay for your site instead of having to pay for the server all up front for a year. Sure, you would save some money if you've got those promotion plans, but you're also going to get much lower quality service. Okay, let's go ahead and look at a couple more things. So if we go to applications, we'll see right now, by default, just that initial setup, I set up a server and an application at the same time. If I click in on this, I'll have the access details here. This is the admin panel URL. If we click this little icon, we'll go to it. This is already my WordPress site. So if I actually go to this is a WordPress site. It's already set up. It's running. This is the temporary URL that it's using. And if we want to log in, we just use the email address. We can copy that and paste it in here. We can copy the password and paste it in here. It set those up automatically. It's random, the password. And now we have a WordPress setup. Now, one thing to note is under plugins, they will install this bot protection and Breeze plugin and activate them for you. These are just optimizations that they're trying to install to help security issues and speed issues. What I like to do personally is to go ahead, and you have to do it this way because they don't give you the deactivate button for the bot scanner. But anyway, I will select them all, and then I usually just delete them all. That's just my personal preference, especially because the way that I like to start a blog is typically from a starter template, which I will talk about in a future video. But this basically just gives you a blank version of WordPress. Now you can go into updates and go ahead and update everything. Go ahead and update the WordPress to whatever the current version is if you had that option. Let's go to, let's click it again, update WordPress database. You can basically just do all of this without any worry in the beginning because there's nothing that it can break. It's just a blank install. So we updated everything. We have our dashboard. Now, if you want to configure this, I like to go ahead and use the screen options here to get rid of the junk in here that I don't care about. Sometimes I'll just leave it like this or get rid of the quick draft. This is nice, a clean dashboard, no updates needed. This is a blank, clean install of WordPress. Obviously, there's more things you want to get into, obviously, you're probably going to want to set your permalinks. Now, I'm saying this obviously as if you know a lot about WordPress. This stuff isn't super important to get right now because most likely, if you're following my tutorial, you're going to be importing a demo setup that should take care of these kinds of settings. But I did want to mention permalinks because I want to set those to post name, and I'm not sure if the import will automatically override that for you. Probably not. So set permalinks to post name, and then in general settings, you can go ahead and change the name of your site, your tagline. Don't change these. Your admin email, things like that. Save changes. But now, if I go to visit my site, here's my site, just another WordPress site. I've got my permalinks set to. So the page is just using the slug of the page. So this is sample page. Yeah, everything's working. This is going to be a ridiculously fast, empty starter site using the basic 2020 template by default. And from here, you can make it into whatever you want. There will be more videos, like I said, in the future to talk about those things. For now, I think that should be all you need to know. I guess one more thing to mention here is if you are trying to come from another WordPress host, it's actually ridiculously easy. They have a plugin, I believe it's called the Cloudways Migrator plugin or something like that. It's in the WordPress repository. So on your other site that you're migrating, you would go ahead and install that WordPress migration. It's going to tell you, this video is going to walk you through where to get the information to put in it. There's like 6 or 8 fields that you have to fill out. When you do, you press go and it just transfers it all over to the application that you selected on your new site. So this basically, I could install a plugin, fill out some fields real quick, press go, and then this site would become whatever the current site is. Now, it will still be at a temporary URL, and we'll talk in the future about setting up your domain to point to your server once you have it ready. But for now, I just wanted to talk about the server setup and a couple of quick little things that you needed to know when you set up Cloudways. Hopefully that should be enough to get you going. So go try it. If you have questions, leave me a comment, and good luck.